Hi guys. Um, this installment, I got a couple stories about the Bermuda Triangle. Um, just got something there, but I'll just get going here. So the first one is called "The Riddle of the Mary Celeste." On December 4th, 1872, the bark De Gracia was sailing in the Atlantic east of the Azores when she came upon the brigantine Mary Celeste. Both ships had sailed from New York a month before, the Mary Celeste with the captain's wife and baby daughter as passengers, the Dei Gracia with the captain and his crew of 7 aboard. Clearly there was something badly amiss aboard the Mary Celeste. Her sails were tattered and hung awry. No one stood at the wheel. When crewmen from the Dei Gracia went aboard and called out greetings, the only reply was silence. No one could be found. The lifeboat was gone. Apparently it had been launched. The binacle was knocked out of place, and the compass was shattered. The bow of the derelict ship bore 6-foot gashes just above the waterline, but otherwise the ship appeared sound and seaworthy. Below the deck was a chilling scene that suggested hurried flight. Toys lay on the captain's bed, as if a child had been interrupted at play. The food supply and cargo were undisturbed. The ship's log remained intact, but its last entry, made 9 days earlier, gave no hint of impending trouble. Why did the captain abandon ship? How did he and his companions vanish without a trace? Could insanity, mutiny, faulty instruments, hijacking, poisoning, tornado, or a disturbance in the sea floor have been involved? The captain of the Dei Gracia ordered some of his crewmen to sail the Mary Celeste to Gibraltar, where a British Vice Admiralty court of inquiry raised all those questions and found no answers. More than 100 years later, the Mary Celeste is believed by many to have been doomed by the inexplicable evil that lurks in the Bermuda Triangle. My personal opinion is that that's where Atlantis was. Far, far, far prehistoric times. Um, so the next one is called A Fateful Mission in the Bermuda Triangle. This is very interesting. At 2:10 p.m. on December 5th, 1945, 5 Avenger torpedo bombers roared off the runway of the Fort Lauderdale Naval Air Station. Flight instructor Lieutenant Charles G. Taylor was leading 13 crewmen of Flight 19 on a routine navigational training exercise, but ominously, the course lay over an area bounded approximately by Bermuda, Florida, and Puerto Rico, in what is now known as the Bermuda Triangle, where so many ships and aircraft have met mysterious fates. Flight 19 began smoothly enough, but at 3:40 p.m. an unsettling message from Taylor to another plane in his squadron was intercepted by Lieutenant Robert Cox, who was airborne over Fort Lauderdale on another exercise. "What is your trouble?" Cox asked Taylor. "Both my compasses are out, and I am trying to find Fort Lauderdale," Taylor replied. For the next 45 minutes Cox tried to ascertain Taylor's position and direct him to land by orienting him toward the sun. But although it was a clear day, Taylor seemed unable to find it. Let me pause. Unable to find the sun? A pilot was unable to find the sun? Sounds a lot like missing 411 cases. Just saying. So back to the story. Finally, Taylor's transmission faded until it stopped. Then, inexplicably, Cox's radio went dead too. That's interesting. He returned to the field at Fort Lauderdale. The ground station at Port Everglades had meanwhile established intermittent contact with the troubled Flight 19, confirming Cox's observations. Finally, at about 5:15, the ground station heard a forlorn message from Flight 19. "We'll fly west until we hit the beach or run out of gas." The authorities at Fort Lauderdale ordered a search, and before long a mariner flying boat was in the air with another 13 crewmen. Notice it was 13 twice. They say 13 is unlucky or whatever. I don't know, but it's an interesting number. But the mariner was not heard from again, so now 2 planes were lost. For the next 5 days, other search planes flew more than 930 sorties over the area, but not a scrap of wreckage from either the Avengers or the Mariner was ever recovered. Most analysts blame this and other disappearances that have occurred in the area on normal hazards of sea and air, but students of the occult blame the disaster on the malevolent powers said to flourish in the Bermuda Triangle. Well, the first thing that happens to a lot of them is their compasses go astray. And if a pilot doesn't know how to fly without his instruments and he goes into the Bermuda Triangle, it's near a death sentence because it's almost a guarantee your instruments will fail you. If not, then sometime if you do it consistently. So I wasn't going to do this one, but I'll do one more. This one's called A Royal Encounter with the Flying Dutchman. Give you a new picture there. This is all over the Bermuda Triangle, so that's where this was seen. So you gotta wonder if this might have something to do with some of these strange happenings. This Royal Dutchman or Flying Dutchman, which I think is from the Disney thing with Jack Sparrow, the Pirates of the Caribbean. I think that's the Flying Dutchman on that one. And that's Caribbean, so that would make sense. Here's the story. The pre-dawn sky was clear and the sea calm as the HMS Inconstant rounded the coast from Melbourne to Sydney, Australia, on July 8, 1881. Suddenly, from the lookout on the forecastle, came word of a vessel closing in on the port bow. Officers and crew alike, 13 in all. There's that number again, 13. It's just interesting. These stories are all crowded the rails to see for themselves. According to the journals of the 2 royal midshipmen who were aboard, Prince George, later King George V of England, and his brother Prince Albert Victor, the vessel appeared as a strange red light, as of a phantom ship, all aglow. Her masts, spars, and sails stood out in strong relief, but moments later the apparition vanished, and there remained no vestige nor any sign whatever of any material ship. The witnesses believed they had seen the Flying Dutchman, the legendary ghost ship that has haunted sailors for centuries. With numerous variations, the legend goes like this. A Dutch captain drove his ship around Cape Horn in a savage gale against the pleas of his terrified crew, who begged him to put into port. The Holy Ghost appeared, the Holy Ghost of the Bible. The satanic captain, so now he's satanic, they didn't mention that before, the satanic captain fired his pistol and cursed the Lord. For his blasphemy, the captain was condemned to sail the seas for eternity, never to put into port. Sailors say an encounter with the Flying Dutchman bodes disaster. And so it was for the HMS Inconstant, the ship that had witnessed him. The royal journals record that later that morning, the unlucky lookout that spotted it fell from the fore topmast crosstrees and was smashed to atoms, absolutely obliterated. And a lot of these entities don't like being seen, so it doesn't surprise me. And upon reaching port, the admiral of the ship was stricken with a fatal illness. It would seem that not even the presence of royalty could stave off the curse of the Flying Dutchman. Now, one thing I wanted to point out was about that thing where the captain cursed the Lord. There's mythology or mythos to when Jesus was walking to the cross that a man cursed him or said something, and that man was doomed to walk the earth till judgment time. So it's interesting that story pops up kind of from there. I don't know if that's its earliest origins or what, but that story tends to repeat itself in a lot of supernatural um, situations. Anyways, hope you guys like it. Hope you guys enjoyed the stories, and I'll be posting more soon. Kind of going a different direction soon, but again, thank you everybody for your nice comments and stopping by.